I've been having the same recurring dream since I was a girl. In it, a large man named Humphrey sat next to me on a park bench and asked how I was doing. After waking up, I could never remember what my visitor looked like, only his clothes, a striped vest and straw hat. But I knew he always listened thoughtfully, then offered love and support. When a group of girls smashed up my prize-winning sculpture, he told me not to let jealousy bring me down. When my sister died, he provided a shoulder to cry on, and when my parents forgot my birthday, he gave me a cupcake with a single lit candle. No matter how rough life got, I knew I'd always have Humphrey. But as I grew, he visited less, and by the time I was marching down the aisle, he hadn't appeared in years. One day, my husband got a phone call from his mother. She had cancer. We moved to his dull hometown where I took a job as a secretary while he partied nightly. Soon the arguments started, then Humphrey returned, providing opportunities to vent about my toxic marriage. During one session, I mentioned it bugged me, I could never remember what my companion looked like. "Why not touch my face?" he said. "If you can't remember the look, perhaps you'll remember the feel?" First thing in the morning, with his features fresh on my fingertips, I bought clay and molding wires, then waited for inspiration to strike in my home studio. It didn't. 2 days later, my eye happened across a striped vest, the same kind Humphrey wore, in a store window. Perhaps dressing up a sculpture would jumpstart my memory? I purchased the vest and a straw hat, then dressed up a giant mound of clay, but even this failed to uncork my creative block. Poking his head through the door, my husband said, "Is that Humphrey? Well, he's quite the looker." I called him a useless alcoholic, to which he hurled me onto the floor, hard, and left for another drinking session. Angry about my life, I lashed out at the mold, pummeling it into the shape of a melted Mars bar with a crude face and limbs. That night, I sat alone on the bench, sobbing, until a heavy thud startled me awake. Thump. It came from downstairs. Thump. From inside my studio. Beyond the door, my husband lay flat on the floor, the molding wires wrapped tight around his neck. And pressed on top of him was Humphrey. When my husband's head slumped forward, my old friend pushed himself to standing and opened his arms. Just then, I had a horrifying realization. This was Humphrey. This was how he appeared in my dreams each night, a misshapen, twisted lump. Despite the macabre scene, I warmly embraced my old friend and wept, overcome with joy. Oh sure, times had gotten rough, but I still had Humphrey. I'd always have Humphrey.